My name is Newly Paul, and I'm an assistant professor of journalism at the University of North Texas in Denton. My research is about media diversity and digital media communication. So I specifically look at media content, that is, how the news covers issues of diversity, and also the factors that drive this kind of coverage. So I'll look at newsroom diversity, I look at audience demographics, I look at economic factors, who owns the news, who owns news media, and how these factors affect what we consume in the media. I also examine digital media, specifically with reference to minority women and how they use various sorts of media, specifically social media, to communicate to their audiences. I look at patterns in their communication. I look at the impact of this communication. So I think the major thread in my research is diversity, issues of race and gender, and how it impacts our media consumption. Broadly, I'm looking at gendered perceptions in the newsroom, and I'm examining how women journalists navigate these gendered perceptions. So I'm looking at how gender affects the kind of content they produce, how gender affects the relationships inside the newsroom, as well as outside with their sources, their editors, and their colleagues. And I'm also looking at how these women journalists navigate these gendered perceptions and how their work is shaped by it. So these are basically the broad questions I'm looking at. I think it's really relevant, especially because of all of the ferment that we've seen in journalism right after the discussions related to Me Too. I think a lot of people have come forward and they've talked about how their whole experiences with gender in the newsroom and how it intersects with racist experiences. So I think it really makes this issue very, very timely, very pertinent, and something that people would want to know more about. So I think if there's one thing to remember is that women have always faced gender issues in all their workplaces, but what I want to do is examine this from a comparative perspective to see if and how things have changed over time, if and how things are different because of women's specializations or the kind of medium that they work in. I'd like to see if there are any nuances or any kind of differences in there. So I think it's very pertinent, it's very timely, and that people will definitely benefit from kind of looking at all of these oral histories, from looking at some of the more contemporary discussions on this issue and seeing how women deal with these issues.